Hello and welcome to this local SEO video. In this video, I want to talk about DIY local SEO and the primary actions. What are those few actions and activities that if you spent a little bit of time or a little bit of money getting those taken care of, it would maximize your ability to rank in your local area, especially for small businesses, people who don't have a lot of time or a lot of money right now to invest in local SEO services. What are those primary things that you can do to maximize your rankings and start to get leads from Google Maps locally? So that's what I want to go through today. My name is Joshua Thompson. I'm the founder of Relentless Local SEO. We have over 50 customers that we work with, and we manage businesses from a couple $100,000 in revenue who are newer, all the way up to private equity companies who own multiple brands under one roof with millions of dollars, 10 million plus in annual revenue. So all I do all day is local SEO and local SEO related activities, testing, trying to help businesses rank and be number one in their area. And that's what Relentless is really all about. So let's jump into this. I got a little presentation. I love grabbing just these random presentations in Canva and throwing something on them so I have a visual. But yeah, let's talk about DIY local SEO. Everything you need to maximize your rankings without needing to be an expert. Low investment is really what we're talking about here. So this is the general process that I want to talk about today, and it's going to be kind of as follows: determining what keywords are right for your business, creating two lists. We'll talk about that. Aligning all of your assets together like a spear. We want to target specific things, what you need to have on your website, a little bit of additional content for your website, optimizing your Google business profile, a few citations, weekly to-do tasks, and then maximizing your reviews. And we're going to go through each one of these to dominate, right? That's the point, to get leads. So determining your keywords, this is kind of the start, right? We need a plan. We need to understand where we're going, what we're trying to accomplish. You're never going to hit a target that you don't have. So we need a target. So what you're going to want to start with is by creating two lists. You can open an Excel document, you can write it down somewhere. But what you need is a list of all of the services that you offer and all of the cities you offer those services in. Now, you want to be thorough. Take the time, look at some of your competitors in your area, look at some of the competitors in other areas. Make sure you're not missing any services or any searches, any of the ways that somebody is going to describe or search for your service. You want to make sure that you have that. For instance, a garage door company, overhead doors is another way people search garage doors. You don't want to miss those kind of unique ways or different, words that people use to search when they're completely different. Obviously, garage door, garage doors, right? But if there's another way somebody searches for your service, you want to know that. You want to find that and have that. And then you just want to make, what are the cities around you that you serve? Make a list of all those cities, 7, 10, 12, right, that you actually go to near you that matter to you. So, all right, I just clicked some button. So, let me just make sure I didn't miss something that was not expected. So let me go backwards. Is it? Okay, here we go. Awesome, cool. So, discover your important keywords. So, what we want to do here, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, but what you want to do is figure out what is the one primary keyword. Basically, if I could rank for any keyword in my local area, what would that be? And then secondary service keywords, right? What are those additional services that I want to target as well to make sure I'm maximizing my ability to rank in those, right? So I'm going to say this over and over again. Spearhead, right? If you want to have a sharp spear, that means at the very point of the spear is one tiny sharp little end, and then it branches out from there. And that's our primary keyword. So look, I do want to tell you kind of how to do this, but this is kind of the one thing I think is a little bit difficult. Maybe you don't have the tools, you don't have the research. So I'm kind of willing to just give you this kind of quick overview of all your primary keywords, secondary keywords in your area. So if you want this kind of a quick plan, no cost, send me an email, joshua@relentlesslocalseo.com. I would love to just give you a list from some higher end SEO tools that you're not going to be able to really get on your own. Otherwise, with that, what you want to do is figure out what is your primary number one keyword, right? Typically, this is going to be, roofing, and you can go through and just look at what other people are targeting, look at the potential services or the categories Google has. But you want to make a list of all those services that you offer and which of those is your primary, right? Roofing, right? Gutters, plumbing. It's not always that easy, but that's generally what we're looking for. Once you know that and have that list, then we can move on to aligning your primary keyword with your business. So what this means is that we want to make sure it is so obvious to Google what we're offering, because that is really important for ranking, especially over the long term. So if you're a gutter company, as in this company that I work with, we want to have gutter in the name, right? In the domain URL and in the primary category. So we have Superior Gutter, superiorguttercompany.com, gutter services. Trifecta, 3 things that make it completely obvious to Google what we want to target. Now, I'll just say this real quick. A lot of people are afraid to target one thing, right? So they end up doing something different with their name and different with their domain and different with their category. But this kind of strategy, this like blunt force strategy, only works if you have so many reviews more than your competitors, right? Then you can be a generalist, right? I can rank for plumbing, electrical, and heating, right? If I have 10 times, 10,000 reviews to my competitors having 1,000. Otherwise, you want to get specific, because if you don't try to rank for one thing specifically, you'll end up just ranking for nothing. So figure out with that primary keyword, the one thing that you want to rank for, align that all together. That's going to give you a huge boost in those search terms with Google. Now, I just want to say this really quick. You need a DBA. If your business name does not contain that primary keyword that you want, legally on Google's terms, I guess not legally, for Google, you need to have a DBA. Otherwise, you risk not being able to get out of suspension. But getting a DBA to change your name, if my name is, Joe's Construction and I want to change it to Joe's Roofing, and I go get a DBA for Joe's Roofing, that is going to help me get out of suspension. But whenever you change your name on your Google business profile, you risk being suspended. Google does not know, nor does it care what your legal business name is when it comes to suspending your business. Suspension is pretty much Google saying, there's a lot of abnormal activity on this account. We want you to prove it. And if that is the case, right, if you get suspended, then having a DBA and other proof of your business is how you can get out of suspension. But just understand that having a DBA does not help you avoid getting suspended. So be careful. I would not change your business name unless you know what you're doing or you're ready to be suspended and have to deal with that. I know I'm beating this dead horse here, but I think that makes sense. So just understand those risks. Okay, cool. So now you're aligned on everything, right? And you have everything set up so that we can hit that target, right? We can aim for a primary keyword and start to hit those secondary keywords at the same time. This is where your website becomes a proof point for Google to back up everything you're saying. If my name says I do roofing and my domain says I do roofing and my category is roofing, now we want to use our website as this secondary reference point for Google to back up that what we do is roofing, and so Google can trust us that we're a roofing company. This is where your website optimization comes in. Now, I know I said this is simple. This is a little checklist. If you have somebody that runs your website, they can do this, but these are kind of the main pieces that you want to align. So on your page, your home page, unless you have multiple locations, your home page should be where your Google business profile goes to, right? When somebody clicks on website from the Google business profile, you want that to go to your home page. And on that home page, we want to align as proof to Google that we service that we're aiming for one city and one service. So in this case, with Joe's Roofing, I want the first thing on my website when somebody shows up in big words, and we're going to call it the H1, which is just kind of a technical term for the primary text on the page. I want to say roofing company in city, or best roofing company in city, or Joe's Roofing in city. I want to make sure that the service and that the city I serve, my primary location city, are right there on top, the biggest thing on the page, right? Saying to Google and to customers, potential customers, this is what we do. Okay, so you want that to match that primary service and city. Now you have what's called a meta title. It's basically what the title of the page is for Google, right? And for other search engines, you want this also to have that right there in it, service and city, okay? The page content, you want this page to have around 500 to 750 words, include testimonials, FAQs, right, about the company, and that kind of information. You also want to link and talk about your secondary services and the cities that you serve. So I'll talk about that here in a little bit, but you want to have a menu on the page that says services we offer and maybe talks about roof repair, roofing installation, right? Those are all these secondary keywords that we're trying to target. And then also we want to have like a list of the nearby cities, right? So for me, if I'm in Boise, I want to have a list that says Boise, Meridian, Nampa, Caldwell, right? All these kind of nearby sub-cities that I'm going to be targeting, and I want Google to know this is where we go. Like, we're going to go out to here, we're going to go out over here. If somebody from those areas searches for our service, we do offer our services in those cities. So we're just, once again, we're reiterating to Google here, these are all the services we offer, and these are all the cities we work in. So now what we want to also put here is what's called NAP, name, address, and phone number. You want to make sure that your business name is on the page somewhere, your address, your phone number. It can be in the footer, it can be somewhere else on the page, but you just want to make sure Google knows, okay. And if you have a service area business, just put the city. That's fine. But you want Google, once again, to have that information. If you have on your Google business profile, I'm at 1223 North Street in this city, and on my page, it says that exact same address. That's another way Google can you want Google to be able to confirm your information. You want to have to tell them 2 or 3 times. They like that. It makes them feel more trustworthy about your business and the information. So you want that somewhere visible on this landing page. And then this is a big one. It's not really an SEO, but having call to actions. I like to choose one primary call to action if you want to have a secondary call to action on the page as well. But I want to put that throughout the whole thing. I want people to know exactly what to do. Call now with my phone number. I'm going to put that at the very top, right under that header, that primary H1. I'm going to put call now with the phone number. And then I'm going to put that a little bit down. And then if it keeps going again, I'm going to put that on the page in a bunch of places. I do not want people to have to think twice when they are ready to call. I want to make sure they can call, or you can say schedule an appointment or whatever is like a secondary option. It's really important. Once again, it's not really an SEO, but that is huge for getting customers to be able to easily reach you. So make sure you have call to actions all throughout this page and on other pages on your website. So not necessarily simple, but the nice part about this is you can kind of do it once and move on, and you'll be in a really good position if you have these pieces. So here's an example of some of this, right? You can see at the top here, we have best gutter company with city, right? We have a form, we have a call button everywhere, we have a little bit of information. I didn't put all the other stuff on here, like testimonials and stuff, but then here in the footer, right, we have 2 locations for this. So we have both of those linked to the Google business profile. We have the address listed, the phone number listed, email, right? So we're making it very obvious that this is the business and that everything matches up to the Google business profile. All right, cool. So now we have these secondary website pages. I just want to touch on these really quick. You want to go and make a page for all your secondary keyword services that stick out. Like I said before, for a roofer, you might have roofing repair, roofing installation, roofing maintenance, right? And you want to have a separate page for those, all focused on that first primary city. So this is what I call the top level of your website. Your homepage is going to target service and city, and then you have service pages that target that exact same city that list those secondary services you offer. You want to keep that whole top level of your site right there focused on your primary city that you want to target. We don't want to target everything, right? You don't want to target roofing. You don't even want everybody who searches for roofing to find you. You just want people who search for roofing in your area to find you. If someone 100, 200, 500 miles away finds your site because you're not targeting anything, what good does that do you? Very little. So use the top level pages here to target your primary city. Then what you're going to do is after you create the service pages, right, that have information about those secondary service, just going to create one page for each of those secondary cities around you. So you'll have, city B roofing services, right? And in there you can just put some text about all of the services you offer and how you're a roofing company and you serve there and all that, right? And then you can do that in city, city B, city C, city D. And then you're giving Google this whole layout very simply of here's all of the services we offer. Each has a page. And here's all the cities that we work in around the area. And each of those have a page. And now all of a sudden, Google has this whole vast knowledge network on your website, just a few pages, but it makes it super clear and obvious all of this services and cities information. And it's also reconfirming anything. You're talking about all the services again on city B, on city C. Now Google has about 10 pages on your website that talk about your service and they're going to be a lot more confident in what you offer. So volume of pages is super important here. If you can have 20 to 30 pages on your website talking about what you offer, that gives you a really strong benefit. So one of the benefits of what we're doing here is just having a good chunk of content pages on the site. It really helps Google feel like you're a legitimate operation. So then what I do is what you're going to want to do is add a menu on all your pages that says services we offer and just links to those top level service pages that we already talked about. Put that on all the pages, and then have a secondary menu on all of your pages that says cities we service, and it has your primary city linking to the home page, and then a link to all those secondary pages that just links over to those secondary cities. And that looks like this. So, and a lot of people have this top level. You have all your primary services that you offer. Those link to the primary city, right? So in this case, it's Nampa. These are all Nampa specific pages. And then down towards the bottom here, we have all of the secondary cities that we service here. And each of these links out to the Gutters, Boise, Gutters and Meridian, Gutters Eagle, Gutters Caldwell, right? All these secondary. And if you just put those two menus, boom, right on every page that you create, now you don't have to worry about all this other linking craziness, because every page has a link to it from that menu, right? So you're solving a lot of problems at once. Okay, cool. So now we've gone through this big website project, and we have all of the elements that we really need to show Google that we want to rank. Now we need to go through and optimize our Google business profile to just maximize this. So I'm going to say you're going to go through everything. Start with secondary categories. You can always look at competitors in your area or in other areas. Go through, see what secondary categories they're using, and just make sure you have the ones that make sense. Don't go too crazy. If 5 is the right amount, that's fine. If 2, if 1, if you don't need any secondaries, that's all fine. You don't want to dilute yourself by adding secondary categories that don't matter to your business. Otherwise, pick what makes sense, and then move on. Don't overthink it. Fill out everything. We'll talk a little bit about this, but every single part of your Google business profile, there's 10 little menus, 10 little buttons. Go through each one and just make sure everything in there is filled out. And then we'll talk about adding services and products here as well. So you can see here, we go through the description's a big thing. Categories, your business name, we already talked about that. The description should always include your exact business name, your address, every service, just mention it, all the locations you service from this specific location, right? But this description doesn't show up. It's just a way for Google to, once again, get a bunch of information. Just want to make sure, almost like a list, you're just listing everything. If you have a tagline, you just want to put the data in this description. And then you want to go through and fill it all out, all of this. Amenities, crowd, parking, service options. I know some of these can seem awkward or odd. Just fill it all out. Google likes a complete profile. And then go through all those menus. Add your logo, add a cover image, just a nice image that you have, right? Go through every single piece of that Google business profile. Once you're done going through all of that, there's 2 really important places that you want to add information. Services is where you just want to add any service you offer and a description. If you can use exact keywords, that is really helpful, but you just want to have a list of all of the services that you offer, and you want to give a really strong description and use the service in the description. So if heat tape installation is a service that I know is a keyword, I want to also put heat tape installation in that description of the service. So I'm giving Google that keyword twice within that service. And then you're just going to go here and use all the keywords, all the services that you can. You can't really overdo it. You don't really want to put the same thing twice, but you want to try to hit every single thing that you offer, especially for like less competitive keywords. If you can find something to put in here that is less competitive, I've found that can jump up overnight, right? So you could be getting traffic from some of these secondary keywords and services pretty quickly if you list everything thoroughly in the services section. Now, products is a little bit different. What you want to do here, though, is products allows you to add landing pages. So you don't want to just list anything here. What you want to do is, once again, all those secondary service pages that we created, roofing installation, roofing repair, all those, take all those service pages and make a product on Google Maps about that on your Google business profile. And then it has a place where you can put the link to that page. And these actually have landing pages from your Google business profile that will go to your website. So you want to list all those secondary service pages you created. Each of those will have a product on the product section. That's what makes it different than the services. So list all of those out. Now, that's optimizing the Google business profile. We've now got a crushing website and a strong Google business profile, right, that is working and going to work really, really well for us. And so we're going to take this now to the next level. Is we want to build out a few citations that are really strong. Citations are just business listing websites where Google can also use them because it trusts them to match up your business's information. What also makes these important is they get their own traffic. You can get customers from having these. So you want to make sure you have all of these citations in place because it helps Google and it potentially can help you get more leads. So these are what I call the 7 must-have citations, with this 8th that could be a few. You'll see here. So we want to get Yelp. We want to get Bing Places, Apple Maps, a Facebook page with the address and business name, phone number, name, at all that address, LinkedIn page, a Nextdoor listing, and then a BBB listing. That one costs money, so it's kind of like if you can afford it. And then if you can continue to afford more listings, getting local chamber of commerce links can be extremely beneficial as well. So when you can afford those, once again, those are kind of pay to play. They're a little more expensive, but they are helpful for your business. So if I was going to pay for anything, that's what I would be paying for. But you want to just go through and make sure you have all of these. They're really important. It shouldn't take you too long to get those. And then we get to our weekly tasks, right? You want to keep your Google business profile active. It's very important to Google, right? Now, it might not be this huge ranking factor, but what most people don't know is that doing activities, keeping active on your Google business profile is very important for keeping your profile safe. You may not know this, but competitors can actually go into Google, go to your listing, and they can try to suggest edits to Google. They can try to change your name. They can move your address. They can try to change this information. Older profiles or profiles that are not getting regular activity, Google starts to wonder if those businesses are even open. And if somebody goes tries to adjust your name or say the business is closed, the less active you are, the more likely those changes are going to go through. So we want to go through and not only just look at our Google business profile and make sure everything looks good, but we want to do these tasks on a regular basis. One, you want to do a Google business profile post, you just go into your posts, click add a post. You can schedule them out for later, or you can just put some information. I like to use offers. Hey, get 10% off this week, but just put something about your business, something about something you offer, or about what you do, or about you, or it doesn't matter. You just want to go post something every week on your Google business profile so there's something fresh. Next, you want to add an image or a couple images every week. Anything goes here. If you're, a dentist office, you might have to find some interesting ways to take pictures or make little educational pictures or something like that. Take pictures of your customers if they'll let you, or your staff, right? All that is helpful. It's much easier though for service businesses. If you're a plumber, take pictures of every job that you do. Roofer, same thing. And then just upload some of those or all of those to your Google business profile on a regular basis. Google will figure out which images customers like the most, so you don't have to worry about, are these my best images? Google will actually find ways in their algorithm to sort those images for what's best for customers. So you just can upload the images and let Google and customers figure out what's going to be the most helpful for them. So, and then responding to reviews. I would do this every day, every couple days, but at least on a weekly basis, you want to go in there and respond to all your reviews that you have. That is super helpful. So log in, go into your Google business profile at least once a week and do these tasks. And then, we're getting pretty close to the end here. Reviews. And that's the whole point of all this. Look, the reason I'm making this is because all of this that we've done is going to make getting reviews much more impactful for your business. If you don't do these things we're talking about, you go get reviews, you're going to be hindered by the fact that you don't have all of these other things helping Google, right? So all things being equal, if we optimize everything and then we're getting reviews, we're far more likely to benefit from those reviews. I always say, an SEO, a local SEO professional expert can come in later and optimize your website and your Google business profile, but you can't easily go get reviews later, right? So this is by far the most important activity. Even if you can't do most of the stuff that we've talked about here, don't ever stop getting reviews, because everything else can be done in the future, but getting reviews is going to be nearly impossible to do later. Get reviews, make it your number one priority to always be getting reviews. Now, here's how you can take that up another level. Get long reviews with a lot of text. Encourage people to use their talk to text to write the review. Anything that you can do to get long reviews. And if those reviews include your primary keywords, your primary city, the services you offer, that is another huge benefit. So try to, encourage your customers to write out reviews, give them tools that make it easy for them to do that. But that is really helpful. And then images in the reviews. Once again, Google will figure out which reviews it likes the most or customers like the most. So you don't need to worry about that. Just get long reviews and get images in the reviews. If it's a picture of you, if it's a picture of you with the customer, it's a picture of the project. There's obviously quality from the highest to lowest, but any images in the reviews is going to be a huge boost because potential customers love it. So get something in there. Push to get this done. Push your team and yourself to get images in the reviews as much as possible. And if you can do those two things over a long enough period of time, you're going to crush. If you can do that with the optimization, you're going to crush. If you do that with the optimization and the other things that a local SEO offers, you're going to completely dominate. So I think that's really important to know. But you can't do this later. So always make this the priority. So yeah, there's a lot more that we can be doing here. I don't want to make this seem like it's it, but what I've tried to do here is pick out the most important things that you can do to kind of maximize where you're at, especially if you're just starting, you don't have a lot to invest. And then, once you have the revenue to invest in, help to build your business on Google, then you can do so. I do not like going into debt or pulling money out of pocket to invest in local SEO, right? I come from an investment background, so I want to reinvest revenue. I don't want to have to invest out of pocket. And I think that's the same thing here. I want to help you maximize your ability to get revenue in the door today, then invest in local SEO tomorrow when you don't have time because you're too busy closing deals. So once again, like I said, if you want a free keyword analysis list, hit me up. If you just want to talk more about your business or where you're at, where you're trying to get to, or if you're a giant behemoth business and you want help, let me know. Love to help get you to the next level. This is, Relentless is the name that I've changed our company and rebranded to because I feel like it really reflects my attitude here. You never give up. Local SEO is a forever game, but I think it's important to realize that, don't give up. Like, this is where the best leads come from. Keep going, keep trying. If you've hired local SEO companies in the past and they haven't worked for you, good. You've learned something, right? But don't give up because the potential is there. Be relentless. And that's what I try to live by, a relentless pursuit of perfection. You never reach it, but you continue to push for it. And I think that's a great thing to have in your business as a business owner. So hopefully this is helpful, interesting, but I appreciate your time. Let me know if I can answer any more questions for you. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next one. Peace.